Inner Peace Press, bringing soul stories to life. Hello and welcome to Inner Peace Press's YouTube channel. Today I am pleased to have with us the author of the book Transparent Diary, the story of my transition when my daughter became my son, Ms. Karen Lander. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Wonderful. I'm hoping that you'll be willing to answer a few questions about your book.
I would be honored.
Lovely. The first one's a biggie. This is a very powerful book. It shares a very personal story of your own transition that you went through while your child was transitioning from your daughter to be your son. Writing this book must have been very difficult, and I wonder, where did you find the strength to write the book?
Oh, I got goosebumps with that question. Well, so first of all, this was my first book, and I didn't really think I had any right to write a book. I mean, who am I? I'm not a writer. And so it took me a couple of years of writing drafts and then saying, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. Nobody's going to want to read this. And I put it away. And I've always journaled and through this process with my son, I was journaling a lot. And I just, every once in a while, somebody would come into my life and tell me, you have to write a book. You have to publish this book. You have to. And so that, with the encouragement of strangers, really, angels who just came into my life, that's how I found the strength. And then sitting down and committing to it. It happened during COVID, not doing anything else. And I just made myself pretty self-disciplined. I just sat down and wrote, and then shared drafts with, again, different people that said, I'd love to write it. I used to be an editor when I was in law school. That's how I worked my way through law school, is I edited books. And so strangers just came into my life. So to me, that's that strength came from outside forces. Mm-hmm. So that's a really long answer. I hope that helped.
No, that's great. That's great. So it sounds like as if you were guided towards the people who needed to hear the story.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. People came in that I wasn't expecting. I had no idea. Wow. Or like I said, strangers. I mean, even meeting you was through some kind of a strange encounter with a stranger who said, you have to publish this book. So, you know, that's kind of how the world works, right? That's how God works, the universe works, is, you know, you just never know. You have to be open. So, yeah.
So were you thinking about, when you were writing this and typing it out, were you thinking about your reader at the time?
Was I thinking about what?
About your readers, about the people who would be reading the book?
I guess I was. I was writing it for someone who was like me, who had this darling daughter, and who just was I had a happy little girl. And I got to the point, again, with these outside people saying, people are going to need this story because you're not the only one. And so I was writing it for me and for people that would be going, wait, this isn't possible. There's no way that my daughter now wants to be a boy. That's crazy. So, yeah, my reader was me. I wrote it for me. No.
Yeah. No, but that's exactly it. That actually brings me to my next question, is that there are many parents today who are struggling with this idea that their child is in need of a transition. Besides reading your book, what sort of advice or what would you like to say to parents who are starting with the encounter?
Well, I think I talk to a lot of parents today who don't want to listen to their kids, who don't believe that their kids know what's best for them. And I learned when my child was very young that she knew more about herself and me and the big picture than I did. And so adults think that we all think we have all the answers, and our kids don't know anything. Maybe that's because that's how we were raised. But my advice to parents is to listen to your children. And if they say, I think I'm a boy, I think I'm a girl, I think I'm gay, I think I'm whatever, don't slap them down and tell them that's a stupid idea and that's impossible and that won't work. And no, 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 you're not. They're starting a journey of questioning themselves and who they are and who they want to be. And they have to feel safe with the parents' approval and permission to try, to take a walk, take a step. And if we fall down, if they fall down, don't say, see, I knew you would never do that. I knew it. Give them the opportunity to explore it and let them know that they're safe to change their mind, to make mistakes, and that you're going to love them unconditionally, because that's more than anything, that's what they need. So it's a journey. We're all on a journey. And kids today, I think, are so different than when I'm 57, 58. I don't know how old I am. I'm old. So, but when I was raised, I didn't know anything. I wasn't taught to think for myself. I wasn't allowed. And kids in the 60s and the 70s, we weren't taught to, what would you like to do? We weren't allowed to think that way. And kids today are just so much wiser and so much more evolved that they do know how to analyze what they like, and they know they know they have options. And so be willing to learn from your kids too. Mm-hmm. So those That's are huge. To listen and learn from your children, mm-hmm. because they do know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm. How do you have patience with a teenage child or a preteen or whatever it is? I think that being willing to listen means not always talking, not always being right, as you said, but part of that is having the patience to let the kid do what they need to do, and like you said, fall, and not necessarily it's not just about pointing out that, ooh, you fell, but sometimes the parent has a tendency to go and pick up the child immediately instead of letting the child have a chance to get up on their own.
That's a really good question. Because patience isn't something, it seems like it's something that I lost when my children started to become independent. So when they're first learning to walk, we're extremely patient. And we know it's going to take them a month, 6 months, however, to learn how to walk. And we follow that path, and it's not a big deal. And the older they get, and maybe the older we get and the more tired we get, I don't know, but we lose our patience with our kids at a time when they are learning to express themselves. That's when they need our patience even more. I'm not a very patient person. My prayer has always been, God, teach me patience, give me patience right now. It's like now I want patience now. I'm not a very patient person. None of us really are. So it was a matter of letting go and just trusting him that he's going to figure it out. The teenagers are the worst. They're the hardest. And maybe I speak for myself. I didn't enjoy my teen years at all. And so maybe it was me saying, okay, get through the teen years yourself. And I can't go back there and go through it. I just know how hard it was for me. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be hard for you. And I don't want to help you because I don't know how to help you. So I don't know if that's answering your question, but patience is hard. For me, journaling has always helped me with my patience. Just getting it all out, like here's what's pissing me off, or here's what's frustrating me, or I wish this would change in a hurry. Just getting it out, that does seem to help. But then just remembering that this child is evolving, and one day he's going to fly the coop, or she's going to fly the coop and go off and be an adult. And I will pray that he will still talk to me and still include me in his life. And so the teenage years are like walking on fire and glass and rocks, and it's hard, and we have to walk with them.
So you mentioned about journaling. Was your practice of journaling why you decided to include the journal prompts at the end of the book?
Yeah, yes, I will say that, because I wish I had the journal that's at the back of the book, because when it first starts to come out that your child is changing, you probably will have thoughts that a year from then, 6 months later, next week, they will be different. And for me, I wish I'd had just had an organized format of here's what I'm feeling right now. And then a month later go, wow, I felt that. Wow. Cause now I feel this. And now I think this. And this is now what I think my child wants me to know or wants me to understand. And that's the thing. I had to transition. And so the journal part will document your transition as a parent as your child is transitioning. So I wish I'd have had that.
Mm-hmm. And there's plenty of space for each question so that over time you can put the date and the idea or your thought at that time and then come back, like you said, in a few months and add more and then see how you change. One thing I love about the journal is it's both perspectives. So it's one thing I want for my child, and then the next page says one thing my child wants for me. So that's beautiful because it goes back now to the patience idea, is that sometimes we are so caught up in what we're going through and what we want our children to become that we forget what do they want to become and what do they think of us. So I think that open communication is very important.
Right.
Did
and I
you
think
go?
I think understanding the perspective of that other person. And so that ties in with the patience. But if we can walk a day in the shoes of a teenager or our child and all the things that they're going through in their day, it's different than when we were their age. It's just so different. And so that's part of why the two different perspectives are in the journal, is because we can all be about me, and all my changes. But what is my kid going through? And what does my kid need from me? My kid doesn't need to be yelled at and said he's wrong. My kid needs to be loved, or he's just trying to be understood, or he's trying to figure it out. So it's, yeah, sorry.
Beautiful, beautiful. So did your son also fill out the questions in the journal?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's a family affair.
It's a family affair, and it helped him because he was going through his own stuff, and I was like, okay, what do you think your mom's going through? Oh yeah, that helped him almost mature immediately. It was like, oh, that's right, it isn't just about me. It's like my mom has had these ideas for me and now it's changing. Okay, that's probably hard for her. I'm gonna give her a break.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. If we can kind of meet each other halfway, it really makes a big difference in the whole world. I mean, not to get too overboard here, but really it takes just one person at a time understanding the other person. So that's what I love. One of the things that I love about your book, and probably the thing I love the most, is that I connect with your character, with your, what you're going through, even though I have nothing relating to that in my life. But it gave me a perspective of a world that how else would I know what it is? But I also love them that one of the things that I got from the book was that the children can teach us. It doesn't have to be only the parent teaching the child. And so when we can, again, come together and share with each other, like we just gain that much more out of this lifetime. So,
That's very true, right? It's so true. Our kids they're the best teachers.
mm-hmm.
They are. They teach us how to love unconditionally. They teach us how to be open-minded. They teach us how to laugh. Little toddlers. I mean, you just want to be like, you want to get around and crawl on the floor, and you just want to be like that. And then they get older. What happens that we stop being in awe of their awesomeness?
Mm-hmm. So we just have to keep the awe all the time. That's how we get through the patience bit, I guess. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. But how do you maintain awe when there's somebody moody on the other side? So, yeah. So once you accepted your child's transition, what was your biggest worry for him?
Oh, for him, that nobody would accept him. He was in middle school at that time, and I thought his teachers aren't going to accept his friends. He's going to be ostracized because, again, that was my perspective. I mean, when I was in junior high school, if you were different, you were bullied and ganged up on. And when I expressed that to him, he's like, Mom, my band director is a lesbian, and my English teacher is transgender, And I have 3 friends who are, and I'm like, oh, it's such a different welcome. It's a new world. It's a different world. And
Mhm.
that's why I had to get on the transition bus. I have to
Mhm.
change. So
Mhm.
yeah,
So
that was,
did the worry just like go down immediately, or did it take some time for you
well,
to let that go?
for the most part, it went away, but then there would always, every once in a while, I'm like, well, what about what? Nope, nope, just let it go. It's just, it is a different world, especially with the schools. I mean, we're lucky in that he's in a school district, was in a school district that is very accommodating. I gotta let, they're just so accommodating, and I don't know how, I know in other school districts they're not as accommodating. He didn't have the problem that I thought he was going to have. So the school
Mhm.
district, um, a lot of friends, that were just, they were, especially, and in fact, his own brother was like, oh, you're a dude, you're my son brother now. Okay. It was just like, how flexible,
Mhm.
it was actually, it was just inspiring actually to see how quickly people could just shift.
Mhm.
So it did take me some time, and every once in a while it would sneak back in, and that fear of this and this and this. And I think I do talk about that a lot in the book, is what about this? What about this? What about this? But he's not, I mean, every once in a while he still has problems, and
Mhm.
issues, and someone doesn't accept him, but he's so used to it. He's like, whatever, you're lost, move on.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, and I
yeah,
think if we understand that it's many people go through that, even a quote unquote normal people are still faced with not being accepted in certain situations. So I think that I hear that he's stronger because of it, because he doesn't let those things bother him, because he realizes what's important to him in life. So,
that's right. Oh, and I think he also sees there's a certain level of discrimination out there for
mhm,
anything and everyone. And so, he just doesn't, he keeps on the goggles of everything's going to be okay. And he's got his, he's like, everything's going to be okay.
mhm,
I'm going to I found my people, and my people, my tribe, they're everywhere. And not everybody is a part of my tribe. I mean, again, that's something I learned from him. It's not
mhm,
everybody's going to like me. Not everybody's going to like him. He accepted that before I have accepted that. So
mhm,
not everybody's going to
mhm.
like this book. So what?
It's
Some
true.
people are, maybe, I don't know, but I like it. So
Mhm.
anyway.
It's a beautiful book and a beautiful story, and you've done a really wonderful job expressing yourself. So thank you very much for sharing your time today with the interview, and definitely thank you very much for bringing this book into our world, because I know it's touching quite a number of people. So thank you very much, Karen, for your time.
Thank you, Heather.
Okay. And for all of our viewers today, please remember to like and subscribe to the Inner Peace Press channel so that you can see more videos like this. Thank you. Goodbye.